guys think about, like, what are your predictions on like the COVID impact for the gig economy going forward? Like, do you think that, it's going to, like, every time there's a new variant or something like that, like what you were talking about, Steve, there's going to be like people, pulling back from rideshare, ordering more delivery? Or do you think we're kind of like, how do you think COVID, like, I don't, we're not like experts on COVID, but like, how do we think COVID's going to impact the gig economy going forward? What do you think, Steve?
So in my market, people, I don't want to say have given up, but people have, but people have given up, but people have kind of given up with the COVID protocols.
Mm-hmm.
They're just like, even if like another one came out and tried to make it all scary and
Yeah.
gloom and doom and all that, people are just over it. I mean,
Yeah.
like I was in the grocery store by me the other day, and we have a police officer that stands in that grocery store,
Mm-hmm.
pre-pandemic, pandemic, whatever. And right as I walked in, they got the intercom going. It says, all guests must be masked. All
Mm-hmm.
workers must be masked. Whether you're vaccinated or not, you must be masked. And we just had recently gone back to that. While I was hearing that, the cop didn't even have his mask around his chin. It was just
Mm-hmm.
gone.
Yeah.
He's typing on his phone. Not one worker had a mask on. Not one person in the store had a mask on, and this is playing.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. I just feel like, at least here in Denver, people are over COVID.
Yeah.
And they're willing to take their shots with these lower grade, Omicron variants and whatnot that, hey, look, at if you get Omicron, it's in most cases, it's like a fifth of the flu.
Yeah.
It's a cold.
It does seem like people are kind of over it, and I would say kind of like drivers and riders, in the sense that, okay, like we're 2 years into the pandemic, like definitely at the beginning, we would see like, okay, at the beginning, like a lot of people are like, shit, I don't want to drive right now. Right. And I don't blame them, right? Because you're like, okay, unknown pandemic, is this like really deadly or whatever? And, it seems like being in a closed space, with someone breathing on you for hours a day seems like a bad idea during a pandemic that you know nothing about. So that totally makes sense at the start. And it does seem like now, like, okay, Omicron is out, it's this variant, everyone's getting COVID. I got COVID 2 weeks ago. It was very mild. I was vaccinated, very mild, like no issues. And, it seems though, like with Omicron, people are kind of over it. Like I haven't been hearing a lot of complaints from drivers yet that it's like, whoa, Omicron variant, like I can't get a ride, or, it's like, I can't get a ride anymore. Or I don't want to drive anymore. Like, I feel like that has sort of come and gone. So I'm kind of feeling like going forward, I don't think COVID is going to be like a big impact on the gig economy. I think you might see like like a little bump in food delivery, if like at the peak of Omicron, but I don't think it's going to be crazy. Like, wow, this is like early pandemic. What do you think, Jason, out there in Michigan?
Yeah, I think we're seeing the same thing over here. People not caring. Although the people in the store, at least by us, everyone's wearing a mask. And I started wearing a mask again. I'm vaccinated, boosted, whatever, when I do shop at Walmart. But yeah. I think once we get through the winter, I think people don't care anymore. And then the numbers are going to go down, right? Because obviously we're all enclosed here in Michigan. I mean, we got a winter storm warning starting tomorrow. So it's going to be fun. And I think rideshare will be back. I honestly think once the summer hits, it's going to be back full. And I hope to get back to it if the money's there. I go where the money's at, Harry.
Yeah.
If the money is not in rideshare, I'm not going to do it again.
Yeah. Well, that's actually an interesting point. I mean, I do feel like in general, like the number one reason people work in the gig economy is money, I think, and I don't know that that's exclusive to gig economy. I mean, every job, right? Like people, it's a job for a reason, right? Like you do a job because you need the money. Obviously there's a ton of flexibility that comes with the gig economy. So that's like a nice number two, right? Like I would much rather do 40 hours a week at Uber than 40 hours a week at McDonald's if the earnings were the same. Right. But I do feel like, do you think people like I've been like, one thing I was kind of wrong about in 2021 is that I thought once unemployment ended, I thought that this worker shortage, this driver shortage on rideshare would kind of go away, right? And I don't think that it's actually, I think it's still like, I mean, you look at LA, right? Like you can still make 50, 60 bucks an hour. Sergio's out there still killing it, which means that frankly, like there's probably not enough drivers still, right? In a lot of cities, a lot of places. I'm kind of surprised that more people haven't come back to rideshare. So that was like one thing I thought, like as unemployment expired, I didn't think it would be overnight, like everyone would come back to driving for Uber and Lyft. But I did think like more people would come back to driving for Uber and Lyft. And that's kind of been one thing I've been wrong about. What do you guys think?
Do you think though that a lot of people didn't go back to driving because they went to food delivery because they didn't want to deal with COVID and
I
those
think
kind
it
of
was a
things.
combination, right? Like, I think it was definitely like pretty obvious, right? Like huge shift to food delivery during the pandemic, right? Because at the beginning of the pandemic, remember, food and grocery delivery were like off the charts. Demand was crazy, tips were crazy, and there, no one wanted to drive, right? So if you wanted to make money during that time, you had to do food delivery, right?
Mhm.
And then kind of like over the next year or two, I think a lot of people kind of like you were saying, Jason, right? They realize like, hey, it's kind of nice doing food delivery. I stay in my little area. I never get like a 20-mile, ride, or like in LA, like a 50-mile ride to Orange County and then have to drive back empty. If I can make, even comparable or even a little bit less, like, I don't have to deal with people, no one puking in my car, right? Like, I get someone for, I can't deliver an order here and there and then I get a free burrito, like there's some funny
Yeah.
benefits here and there, of delivery. But I guess like I always thought people were most motivated by like where you could earn the most. And I think you can earn the most on Uber and Lyft on average. Not every city, like you said, Jason. But I feel like maybe that's not as motivating as it used to be. Like before the pandemic, I feel like everyone kind of gravitated towards Uber and Lyft if they wanted to earn the most. And now, like, I'm not so sure.
Yeah, I agree. When pre-pandemic, I did almost exclusively rideshare. A little bit of Amazon Flex, but yeah, it was exclusively. And then since the pandemic, I've probably done a total of 15 rides.
Hmm. What
So
do you think,
yeah,
Steve?
well, so I'm going to go back to what you were saying about when you and I talked last, Terry, like it was we both kind of agreed that, when PUA ended, we
Yeah.
didn't think it was going to be that day, but we thought, well, it's going to have to shift back because there's way too many people in food. It's died off a bit, and there's nobody in rideshare. The riders were going to they were already coming back before PUA was over, and then the drivers didn't come back, and you and I both thought they would. So I guess one of the biggest things I'm wondering about, and this goes even beyond the gig economy, is if you squirreled away some money somehow during the pandemic, which doesn't even make a lot of sense, but if you did and you're able to quit your job or you're able to not go back to rideshare, what are all these people doing?
Yeah. Well, so I do have a few theories. So this will be fun to chat about. I want to hear what you guys think about my theories. So at the start, I thought the two big reasons were shift.